Lesson 1. Take responsibility. Cross the line. I was regarded as a pioneer of sports psychology when I started work at Derby County FC in 1995. There was very little understanding then about how psychology could work in a football club. There was no curriculum for me to refer to, so I flew by the seat of my pants. Necessity breeding creativity. One thing I did know from study trips to the USA was that I should see players one-on-one and help them deal with their performance issues. American sports psychologists recognized that mental and emotional barriers could severely limit performance, and that players would only reveal such perceived weaknesses in a confidential one-on-one environment. Reviewing my notes from initial sessions with the club players showed a consistent pattern emerged. Players were blaming others or making excuses for their performance failures. Time after time I noted down that, in my view, the player was not taking responsibility for his situation. When the team returned from their first break of the season, I asked the manager, Jim Smith, whether I could talk to them. Jim agreed, and when the team gathered, I told them the story of my background in Manchester. I was the youngest child of a family living in constrained circumstances, with limited expectations for us children. However, passing for grammar school gave me a different view of life. My father, a semi-skilled labourer of limited education but smart, recognized this and gave me a rare piece of advice. He drew a line across the floor and told me that the line represented an important choice in life. Staying this side of the line, which circumstances had forced him to do, meant living a life where others told you what to do and you simply accepted your fate. This was not what he expected of me. He urged me to cross the line and be the one who defined my own life. However, taking this step would mean taking responsibility for my situation, plus accepting that there would be the occasional failure. I shared with the players the realization that my father was referring to one of my brothers who reacted badly to any failure, becoming overwhelmed because he took it personally and emotionally. Unfortunately, my brother compensated for this loss of mental and emotional stability by turning to alcohol, and what was a minor issue became a major problem. I told the players that the reason I was standing in front of them, sharing these experiences, was throughout my life I have always crossed the line. Even when excuses were plentiful and blaming others would be easier, I still took responsibility. I had learned that although sometimes you cannot choose the situation you find yourself in, bad things do happen in life, you can always choose your response. Judging the situation carefully, I then told the players what a difference it could make to their lives and careers if they could find the courage to take responsibility for the situations in which they found themselves. I reminded them that maturity is defined as taking responsibility for the control and directions of one's life. To guide their future actions, I provided the simple definition that the great NFL coach Bill Belichick gives his players. Responsibility means doing what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it. It means being where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there. It means doing what you say you're going to do, and doing right by yourself and by others. This talk made a distinct impression on the players. A number of them showed a significant improvement in their ability to deal with the issues that had limited their performance, such as lack of timekeeping, focus and attention in training, and general poor work ethic. For one player in particular, the talk proved to be a turning point. George was talented, but had refused to change his poor lifestyle, despite his coach's warning that this would eventually undermine his progress. Slowly, George learned to take back control of his life. The coaches and I could see how he began to avoid attractive, but ultimately bad decisions, made better friendship choices, created much better lifestyle patterns, learned not to make commitments that he would regret, and generally walked taller because he was earning the trust of his teammates and coaches.